Hello, everyone. It is me, Viper, and I have got a couple of games to show off for this Shmuptember, and you can probably guess what franchise they're part of, but they're also games you might not be super familiar with. Now, before I get started with this first one, I just have to say, both of the games I'm about to do are extremely volatile, and so it is very possible, if not extremely likely, that both of these end up being absolute train wrecks. But hopefully, regardless of what happens, we're going to have a good time and you get to see what these games are made of. So I'm going to go ahead and launch up the game here on Blue MSX, and we're going to get started in 3, 2, 1, go! Close enough. So I'm going to be playing as the Bug Viper, which is basically just supposed to be the Big Viper. What's the advantage that the Bug Viper has over the other characters? Literally nothing. They're all exactly the same. This is the original Parodius, the first game in the Parodius series, released on the MSX in 1988. And for those who don't know, Parodius is basically Gradius after you take a few shots of acid. Or something like that. You gotta be on some serious stuff to understand this game. And this game actually kind of has a plot. One of the main characters in this game is known as Taikozuki. He's an octopus. And he runs this, like, dream business, where I guess he's supplying the people of Earth with dreams. And there's his arch nemesis called Bug, who is apparently stealing the dreams from people, and his goal is to defeat Bug and get them back. It probably makes more sense in a different context, but who cares, really? The plot has no relevance on the game whatsoever, but it kind of is there to just enforce the goofy nature. So, yeah, instead of spaceships, instead of, like, stereotypical shoot-em-up aliens and core ships, we have weird, funky creatures like Moai heads serving as regular formation enemies and penguins. And all of the music in this game is classical music because Konami couldn't be bothered to compose original music for this game. So, now I do want to go ahead and debunk something that I don't think is as common of a misconception as it used to be, but I think for a while it was kind of said to be the case. This is not just the an MSX port of the arcade game Parodius Da. That is an entirely separate game. This is, again, an entirely separate game from that. It does share a couple of things in common with Parodius Da, but very few. One of which being this music, which is Flight of the Bumblebee, as the boss music. And also this first boss resembles the first boss from Parodius Da, except instead of being a pirate penguin, it's a penguin that throws beer cans at you and is seems to be experiencing some particular feelings at this point in time. I wonder if they have anything to do with the drinks he's shooting now. But yeah, other than that, this basically just plays like a Gradius game. And in fact, this game seems to use a similar engine to Nemesis 2 from the MSX, which we released a year earlier. And I got the slow boss death animation, which is always fun. The speed of those penguins rotate around the bigger penguin tends to fluctuate a lot. So those penguins usually enter the mouth somewhat faster, but sometimes they don't. It's not like this is really a speed run anyways, so who cares? Alright, now we're heading off to the second stage, and hopefully that's the only time you'll ever have to see those enemies. So yeah, I think most of the stages are kind of self-explanatory in terms of like their theming. And I don't know all of the music tracks, but I'm sure you'll probably recognize some of them if you're into classical music or anything of that sort. Oh yeah, bells. Those are, if you've ever played Twin Bee, you know what those are, and obviously those are a reference to Twin Bee, which is also from Konami. They actually function slightly differently in this game than they do in the other Parodius titles. yellow bells actually act as a Mega Crash, so they erase all enemies on screen. And then the other bells give you varying powers. Most of them aren't too useful. Actually, you don't really want most of them. So, for example, that's the blue bell, the light blue bell. It just freezes everything for a few seconds. I don't actually remember which bells give which power-ups, aside from, like, the first few. So I want to make sure I avoid that power capsule that's right below me right now, because it's actually a roulette capsule. Yes, those are in this game. So roulette capsules basically cause the power meter to, like, very quickly cycle through all of the choices. And you basically just kind of have to time your power-up selection so that it lands on what you want, which is very difficult to do. I think this gives the... Okay, yeah, the purple bell just does this. I don't exactly remember what this is supposed to do. I think that's just a thing that takes care of enemies that happen to be in the same alignment as it or something like that, but I don't even remember. But the thing that makes roulette capsules dangerous in the Parodius games is that there's actually a 6th power-up slot, which is between option and shield. So what does that power-up slot do? It removes all of your weapons. So you really don't want to select that by accident. Now we have a little pre-boss moment here, where it's just a bunch of these lasers. The lasers, I believe, are random, but they broadcast their presence well ahead of time, so you have plenty of time to get out of the way. Alright, and now we get to play a good, fun game of rock, paper, scissors. And I am going to pick rock. So, let's go ahead and talk about this boss for a minute. So, this boss is like, I don't remember the Japanese name, I usually call it the 3-choice hand. You're basically playing rock, paper, scissors with this giant robotic hand. And we draw, because we both pick rock, so now I have to actually fight it. So, if you win, and obviously you should know how rock, paper, scissors works. If you win, the boss self-destructs. If you draw, you actually have to fight it. If you lose, the boss sends you back to the beginning of the stage. And how do you know which choice is correct? You don't. It's completely random. So yeah, when you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting sent back to the beginning of the stage when you fight that boss. So I got pretty lucky there. But, yeah, this game suffers from a lot of ideas that fall into the category of it sounded good on paper, but in execution, they're just really bad, and that's one of them. This is not a particularly forgiving game. It's far from being the hardest, though, but it's mostly just got some really bad design sections, like, or just bad ideas in general, and you'll see a couple more of those as we go through the game. Yeah, I don't know what this stage is supposed to be. I don't know what these creatures kind of look like aardvarks, but that's really all I know. And then this music, I think, is in the hall of the... What is it? In the hall of the Mountain King or something like that. And also, this music also appears in the Game Boy for the Parodius Da, but in a different key. Alright, I gotta be perceptive here, because the second one of these enemies actually drops a roulette capsule, so I want to make sure I avoid that. And then here we have a really annoying section where a bunch of those bouncy thingies come from behind. I should mention the shield only protects you from the front in this game. It's just like the original Parodius. That went really well. These aardvarks, your laser isn't super powerful in this game, so the aardvarks take a lot of damage. And honestly, just most things in this game in general just have way too much health. It's even worse on the PSP release of the game that was included on Parodius Portable. So, how about more terribly designed sections? This cave sequence. I'm just gonna shut up and let you watch this monstrosity for yourself. It should be immediately obvious why this is bad. And yes, I am playing with the original MSX blocky scrolling for the true, pure MSX experience, because that's how I believe this game should be played. Yeah, this goes on for a while. And it's as obnoxious as... If this looks obnoxious, it's even more obnoxious than it looks. And on the PSP version, the rocks move so fast that I can't get through this without pause buffering. But on the MSX, it's a little bit more forgiving, which doesn't really mean much. Especially once the rocks start falling faster, like they will in a little bit. There's often a lot of tight maneuvers you gotta do here. That was extremely close. Yeah, like I said, this is just terrible. I don't know if firing actually makes a difference in the rate at which the rocks drop, but it seems to slow them down. Probably just because of, like, sprite overload or something, so I do it. Okay. So that was fun. Again, amazing section right there. Totally thrilling. And now there's this boss, which I don't even know what it is. You actually have to shoot the string. I think that's the only way you're supposed to kill that. Also, I know the kanji that appears when you shoot an enemy or something. I know it says something, but I don't remember what it is. It's kind of hard to get a good shot at the rope sometimes because of the thing moving up and down, and also you have to pay attention to the little mini ghosts or whatever that it's shooting out. It should be almost dead, though. Alright, we're already halfway through the game. There's only 6 stages in this game, thankfully. I gotta say, this is already going remarkably better than I thought it would. But the latter half of this game is way, way harder than the first half. If the first half looked... it looked like there was some craziness in the first half, the second half is just awful. This stage isn't too bad, though. In fact, I actually like this stage a lot. It has a really great song. Again, I don't exactly remember what the origin is, but very catchy. The stage actually has a kind of cool gimmick. By the way, those penguins suck. They're basically just ducker turrets. They're reskinned ducker turrets, but they, like, hop up terrain. They hop up walls basically, like, instantly, so it's very easy to just have one of them just pop right into you and kill you. Especially because hit detection in this game is not particularly forgiving. Yeah, as you can see here, there's a lot of corridors here where you enter one side and then you pop out the other side. So that white bell allows you to wrap from the left side of the screen to the right side, which you will see later, but I actually don't really like using it. It's not recommended to just pick up that bell to get it off screen, because then if you try to brush up against either edge of the screen, then you're probably gonna unexpectedly wrap around and then you die, and then you get really upset. And now the lights flicker on and off because, you know, gotta have that. Alright, I'm gonna play it a little safe here. I'm gonna not go up there. If I felt particularly risky, I would have gone up there and tried to get those penguin turrets, but I don't want to die. And here's the Hot Lips boss, which later appears in Parodius Da. Try to take out this, nice. Getting Getting that upper left lip early is very, very good. It makes the rest of the fight a little bit easier. Unfortunately, this is a bit jankier than it is in its later appearances. Just like in Parodius style, once you destroy one side, the other side starts charging back and forth. Okay. And then we have a really dumb boss fight. This boss isn't necessarily difficult, it's just atrocious. And it's very tedious, because it's really hard to get opportunities to do damage to it. Yeah, it's these two, I think they're supposed to be maids. They also kind of look like pigs. Every so often they ram each other, and it's really annoying when they do that because then they're invincible. And also, remember, the shield only protects me from the front in this. And I don't even have the shield now, so now I don't even have that protection. And if you notice, the rate at which they charge towards each other is very fast. Okay. Once you get rid of that first one, the rest of the fight is a little bit easier, because you only have to deal with this one. Like I said, I don't pretend to understand this game. I just play it. This boss fight takes, like, literally forever on the PSP port. It's amazing. Because your regular laser just barely does any damage to it, and you can only fire, like, once every couple seconds. So. I think we're almost done. There we go. Okay, and now we get into the part of the game that's really stupid. So if there's anywhere for this run to go wrong, it's going to be these last two stages, because these last two stages just suck. They're so bad. There's really no other way for me to put it. They're just hard, they're terrible, and if you're going for a clear in this game, you will lose many runs to this stage. Both this stage and the last stage, because they're just so hard. And, originally when I went for a clear in this game, probably sometime around like 2023, I actually ended up I lost so many runs to these last two stages that I basically just rage quit on the game entirely and didn't touch it for like 2 more years. That's how bad this is. Yeah, this is, I guess, supposed to be some sort of like graveyard, and in fact, portions of this music would return in Parodius as well for that game's graveyard stage. So, green bells let you wrap around the screen vertically, and it's actually okay for me to pick that up here because, as you can see, I can't really go from the top to the bottom anyways, aside from like right here. Yeah, that's what it does. Alright, so that first half of the level isn't too bad, but this last half is where I will probably die. It will genuinely be like a miracle if I get through here in one shot. Because, again, this is just so... You'll see. You'll see. So I really want to get a white bell here, and like I said, the white bell lets you wrap around the screen horizontally. But I don't want to get it too early. There are bonus stages in this game, by the way. I'm not going to be taking any of them. I actually skipped over 2 of them already. And there's one in this stage. Just thought I'd bring that up real quick. Okay, I don't know what color bell. Okay, it's like that. really want to pick this up. There we go. Now I need to wait for the screen to reach a particular moment. And I can just do that. And if you don't do that, then that last part of the level is just awful. You genuinely just have to get lucky to get through there without doing what I just did. And if you don't manage to get a bell in time, because bell spawns do vary, then you're just screwed. Now we have a woman whose head is just a giant eyeball, and she fires ripple lasers. Again, I don't pretend to understand what this is supposed to be a reference to. And it actually is kind of a tricky fight, because if it gets too close to the left side of the screen, then you have to, like, bait around it. And it's really annoying. But thankfully you can also kind of manipulate it to just move up and down. Now we get to the final stage, which is also just... Like, I made that last stage look so much easier than it actually is. That last stage is just so bad. And this stage is somehow worse. There's nothing particularly crazy about this stage at first, but you'll see why this one is awful in just a minute. At least the music is good. I actually slept on this song for quite a while, but now even though this stage annoys me, I do have to admit this song is a bop. Yeah, the penguin duckers they're just nightmare fuel straight through and through. Especially in this stage, because they just pop on everything. They just, like, snap everywhere, and... They snap to different heights in, like, the span of a frame, so you just have to anticipate it, because their hitboxes are ginormous. Okay, so now here's this. Remember that white bell ability I showed off earlier? It is mandatory here. There is no other way to get past that wall other than to do what I just did. That is the intended way. And I'm actually going to hold on to this ability because I'm going to use it here in just a second. Just to make that part a little bit easier. And then the ending of this stage, I think, is basically just gonna have to come down to me getting lucky. This stage is just... I really can't describe in words just how frustrating this stage is. Or how frustrating this stage can be, and there's no better example of that than right here. Honestly, it's just... tight spaces. You got penguins coming at you from behind that love to just snipe you out of nowhere. Hitboxes are bad. Then you have this stupid spike trap right at the end. And as if that wasn't bad enough, you have another dead-end wall immediately afterwards. And I think I just screwed myself. Okay, so I have to die there because I missed that bell. I can recover here, but it's going to be tricky. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And I accidentally hit the power down button. There. Because I tried to use the roulette to power up quicker and it did not pay off. So, I can recover this. But it's not going to be an easy feat. And I will very likely have to load it. If it goes, like, really, really bad, I'll just load a save state. Okay. Also, yeah, some of those, moving column things drop at, like, a ridiculously fast speed. And it's basically impossible to react to them, so you just have to be ready. If there is one benefit of dying there, is that if I can get to the final bosses, they should be a little bit easier. Because I guess this game does kind of have some form of rank. Okay, so let's see if I can actually get the white belt this time. There we go. Alright. So, I don't normally try to take on these bosses with only one option, but we'll see if this goes well. So, there's two bosses in the stage. First we have this... I don't even know what this is. It's some kind of organ. I don't know if it's a brain. It looks like it could be a heart. Who really knows? But it's super easy. Okay. Then we get to the final boss. Which, again, I'm just gonna have to hope for the best here, because I'm a little underpowered compared to what I'm used to. Here is a bug. Here's the dream catcher, or the dream eater bug. And it actually attacks you, unlike most Gradius final bosses. And you basically need lasers to fight this thing. Because your normal shot's hitbox is just bad. I actually once CC'd this game in a marathon. Holy crap. There we go. That was... I don't really know how to describe that. That game is just so hard. That went way better than I could have expected it to. So, let me explain what the ending here is, because it's all in Japanese, you can't really understand it. So, Teikozuki has defeated the Dream Eater bug, and now he's examining the dreams of all the humans, but he's realizing that humans are so selfish. All they want is power, money, fame, women. All they want is all these, like, super, like, not important things. And he's realizing that the humans are just so selfish. So what does Teikozuki decide to do? He decides he's going to take his own dreams and inject them into the minds of humans. And then he realizes that's a terrible idea and that humans will should hopefully eventually learn the errors of their ways. And yeah, that is the plot of this game. You go through all this trouble to stop the Dream Eater bug, only to realize that the dreams weren't even really worth saving to begin with, and then you just don't do anything about it. Yeah, I don't really... Like I said, I do not pretend to understand any of the Parodius games. I play them and hopefully not get frustrated by them. So I'm pretty sure that is the second time, maybe third, I have ever legitimately once CC'd this game. So, again, definitely went way better than I could have expected, but I hope that run was entertaining. Yeah, that's Parodius, and we'll probably go to intermission here in a little bit, and I'll be switching to the next game, so I'll see you in just a few minutes.